Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to take a few moments to wish all Quebecers a happy national holiday, and especially those who live in the riding of Laval-des-Îles. And I wish I could be with them tonight to celebrate, but because of the government's actions, well, we all know what's happening. And so my constituents will understand why I can't be with them. The government has decided to extend the work of the House without any consideration for Quebec MPs or the citizens of Quebec. The government chose to become involved in the negotiations at Canada Post. By trying to force employees back to work under unacceptable conditions, the government has prevented us from celebrating with our fellow citizens. Well, I am here to defend not only the interests of Canada Post employees who in good faith are trying to negotiate for better working conditions. These workers might be subject to lower salaries than the salaries offered by Canada Post. All workers might suffer the same fate because of the government, which really has no values and which is not even showing any interest in amending its legislation. Before continuing, I'd like to point out that as opposed to Canada Post, which has locked out its employees and deprived Canadians from an essential service, Canada Post employees never took Canadians hostage. The rotating strikes, which they had started, had, at the very worst, delayed delivery by 1 day. And in fact, these rotating strikes simply aimed to bring Canada Post back to the table, but Canada Post simply decided to stop any negotiation and to lock out its employees and to cease any delivery of mail. This is a maneuver which places the most vulnerable people in a difficult situation. Despite the lockout, and under the shadow of back-to-work legislation, including lower salaries, Canada Post employees are continuing to deliver the mail and social insurance checks in my riding in order to prevent Canadians from being hurt. They have acted out of respect for Canadians who count on these checks to survive. I talked about respect, which seems to be something the Conservative government does not understand. The involvement of the government and the imposition of back-to-work legislation really is to the advantage of the employer, because now Canada Post does not have to negotiate in good faith anymore. It can simply let the government do its dirty work. So the message which is being sent to workers is clear. Accept the offer, which will be to their detriment, which will roll back the rights they have earned over the years, and which is taking away the ability of both parties to negotiate as equals across a table. The government should fight to protect workers' rights, but instead it is going to impose a lower settlement than that which Canada Post was offering. We must point out that Canada Post, that the Canadian Postal Corporation is not on the brink of bankruptcy. In fact, it has posted large profits since 2009. Nevertheless, it does not want to offer good working conditions or good salaries to its workers, and therefore I feel it is just not acceptable to accept this offer. And the CEO of Canada Post earns over $500,000 a year without counting a major bonus of $50,000. In fact, the salary of the CEO will increase after the adoption of this legislation, and therefore I am convinced that and I know that during the lockout the CEO will still be paid the same amount of money. Canada Post is an indispensable service, as opposed to the people who are for privatization. There's no adequate alternative to Canada Post in the private sector. Further, Canadians do not wish Canada Post to become a private organization. It operates efficiently and provides excellent service. I wonder what the government is thinking, why it hasn't understood what is really at stake in this situation. I deplore the interference of the government. Who is going to pay for this? Unionized workers will pay for this, even though they have a right to expect that their collective agreements should be respected. Canadian workers can have a right to expect their employers to negotiate in good faith. By tabling this bill, the government is opening the door to a dangerous practice in which employers will be able to whittle away workers' rights, and all of this is starting here in the House of Commons. The Canadian government should be a leader in terms of fairness and security and respect for workers in this country, and workers are very proud people, and workers are the pride of this country. We should not be siding with CEOs, which is what it looks, and it looks like this is starting to happen. And again, I wish a happy national holiday to all Quebecers.
Questions and comments?